Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed. Today we are joined by a highly experienced executive in the hotel industry, a former hotelier of the year, and president of the Fontainebleau, Cliff Atkinson. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you so much. It's really a privilege and honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Cliff, for joining us. When you won Hotelier of the Year, where were you? When was that?
I was general manager of Mandarin Oriental here in Las Vegas. I think that was 2014.
So that's where we met. You and I met at the Mandarin, right?
We did.
We loved that place, and the chairman of the plaza always used to stay there back in the day, and that's where I think I first met you.
That is exactly where we first met, and that's what brought me to town, was that opportunity, and that was a decade ago. That was 2012.
So were you really the hotelier of the year, or did you just have the best property in Vegas that made it easy to become the hotelier of the year?
No, it took me a year or two to warm up. I had to get there in 2014. So
a few years, and then, wow.
Yeah, I was spoiled. As I have been everywhere, with a great team and a great physical product as well. At City Center had just opened the end of 2009, 2010, and so we were really humming then. So, but like anything attributed to success with me, it's been the team that I've been with.
Well, speaking of which, you brought along your lovely team member Amy Rossetti, who we have to, my friend. Big support of the community of Las Vegas. So shout out to Amy for joining us here today.
Yes, she is. Yeah, I'm very happy she's here with me.
So she's not embarrassed or wants to kill me because she's behind the scenes. I know. But she's very cool, and we love everything you do.
Yes, we do. Yeah, very fortunate again to have Amy as part of the team.
Okay.
So tell us about you, where you're from, and how you got started in the hospitality business.
Yeah. Hometown, San Francisco, California. It was a very different city in the 70s than it is today, but it was it was a great place, a unique place to grow up. But, when I was growing up, most of my friends were, wanting to do, lawyer, doctor, financial services. I wanted to be a chef, before Top Chef now, and run my own bar and my own bar and restaurant. And that's what got me into the business. And I've had some crazy stops along the way. I was a chef in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands when I was 19 years old instead of going to college. And then I had to come back and actually finish school properly. And then, but while I was going to school, I got into a hotel and restaurant program with Hilton Hotels. And in the early to mid 90s, was doing that. And I was on a track I wanted to become a GM for Hilton. And along the way, I met this general manager who would later go on to become the CEO of this little brand, this little hotel in the middle of San Francisco called Mandarin Oriental. And back then...
Wait, that was the first Mandarin? Was it in San Francisco?
It was the first one outside of Asia.
Okay.
And I had never heard of it. I was like, what is Mandarin Oriental? Is this a Chinese restaurant? Like, what's happening here?
Right.
And I went inside and saw that it was this amazing hotel in the middle of San Francisco. And I grew up there as this native son. I just didn't know it existed. And then I realized, wow, this competes with Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton. And that became my entry into really the luxury hotel world. And I went on a 15-year run with them. That career, that opportunity brought me to New York City. I opened the Mandarin Oriental New York. I was the number 2 there. That was 20 years ago.
Wow.
That's dating me now. I used to be the young kid in the room, and that's not the case anymore.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, right. You look in the mirror one day, like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, we're the mature guys. But we opened that hotel, and that's where I met my now wife. We've been married 15 years, 2 kids, all that fun stuff. But we met during the opening, as you do during an opening where you're living.
Was she there as a guest or as an employee?
She was an employee.
Either way, very unprofessional.
Very, very unprofessional. She was the marketing manager. She's she's the global VP of marketing for Mandarin Oriental today.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
But I had to go in and tell the GM, hey, I'm dating the marketing gal. That was fun. And he's like, yeah, it's no secret. We all know.
Everyone knows.
Great.
Yeah, most of the time people know those things.
Yeah, you think it's a secret, but it's not. But that piece has turned out very well. But with Mandarin Oriental, I did leave for a little while, and my first job as the number one, as a general manager, was for Ian Schrager at the Gramercy Park Hotel
I love that
in
place.
New York City. He had just sold Morgan's Hotel Group. He had this one hotel. He and his partner, A.B. Rosen, spent a fortune on it.
Did they have that restaurant on the ground floor there, the
El Molino.
No, not El Molino. Maialino. Danny
Meyer.
Danny Meyer restaurant.
When we opened, it was actually supposed to be the original first Hakkasan outside of London. This is back in 2006.
Okay.
That didn't happen for a variety of reasons. And then it became Waikia, which was Nobu's Chinese food. Their first, hey, Nobu's getting into the Chinese.
Okay. So this was before I ever stayed there then.
Yeah. So, but we had Rose Bar, which I'm sure you participated in.
Yep. And then later Danny Meyer's restaurant, which is still one of my favorites there.
And Danny Meyer lives across the street at 2 Lexington. So he was in that restaurant all the time.
Okay.
But that property.
So you were at that property? That's a beautiful property.
Yeah, that was my first GM role. And that became the blueprint for Edition Hotels with Marriott. So that was Ian Schrager, his business marriage with Bill Marriott and Arnie Sorensen. That was it. And so Ian actually went on to sell that hotel, and then I went back to Mandarin, and I was the GM in San Francisco, and everything was great. I was in my hometown running my favorite hotel, and they knocked on my door and said, hey, we have a problem in Las Vegas. We need you to come to Las Vegas. We need a new leader there. So
it was a cold city center.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And that was a decade ago. And
so that was 2011. But
yes.
They had already gone through the worst of it in 07, 08 when they were finishing building it.
They really did.
Yeah,
they had the worst of it. I think probably 09 was the toughest piece, and then they had the opening, and the person running City Center at the time was Bill Macbeth. So he was my first boss in Las Vegas, who I'm still close with today.
What a great opportunity that must have been.
Oh, to learn from it was like, I had the luxury piece with Mandarin Oriental, I had the lifestyle boutique nightlife with Ian Schrager, and then hospitality in general, but really my gaming MBA, air quote MBA, if you will, was with Bill Macbeth.
Can't ask for more than that. It's better than any MBA program, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And kudos to him for what he did with Cosmopolitan more recently. But I'm sure we'll get on to Cosmopolitan in a little bit and MGM when we talk more recently with you. So how was that? How was that or more recent times? But how was the first few months learning Vegas and the difference between other cities and operating here?
Yeah, it's a great question because when you come from a global brand, and now I've now seen it hundreds of times since. People come to the companies who've been successful in New York, London, Tokyo. They come here and it's just so different. And we, Mandarin Oriental, we had that attitude as well. We know what we're doing. We know our brand. We know service. We had to learn how to apply that to this market, how to stand out in the world's largest hotel market, 150,000 plus rooms, how to market a brand. Mandarin had never had billboards in, I think, any city.
Right.
And 66% of guests, of 42 million people, make a decision about what they're going to do once they're in the market. We had to adjust all of that. And that's...
Excuse me, did you hear that, Ms. Marketing?
Yes.
For the marketing people out there, did you hear that very useful piece of information?
But that was years ago, and now you think it's the same?
It's probably changed a little more digitally, but I think there's a reason all these billboards still exist, and you have 42 million people coming. So to stand out, to get your brand to stand out, we had to learn. It was not gonna be build it and they will come, and that was a great learning lesson, for me.
Always curious about this, but do you think it's struggled or suffered because of not having a gaming component, being in Las Vegas and not having that? Because everyone says that's the differentiator, right? People that don't want to be in the gaming, but at the end of the day, it's Las Vegas.
That's right.
That's what people are here for, I mean.
Yeah. And I think we told that story well. We were a great alternative, similar to Four Seasons in the market as well. In fact, the person running Four Seasons at the time, Mark Hellrung, became a very, very close friend. In what other industry does your number one competitor become, invites you in, has drinks, we'll break bread together? Only in this industry do we come together, and that is the crux of this town, is the relationships. But to the point, we did have to continue to invent ourselves about how to stand out, and how to tell our story about why Mandarin Oriental, why access to everything at City Center and in Las Vegas, but the the privacy and the escape from what Vegas is known for. There was a market for it. I think there still probably is. But to your point, gaming is a very important piece of what we do here in this town.
And you didn't oversee the residences there. That was separate, right?
I did oversee those.
Okay.
A separate, actually, MGM was responsible for the sale of those. And then when I was leading the property, I oversaw the residential component. We turned it from developer into the actual owners. They have, think about all our HOAs in town here. Mandarin Oriental had a very powerful one.
Yeah, and they get to use all the amenities down below, the spa, the pool, the restaurants, right?
Exactly. It was the hotel, 5-star living was the pitch then. And we had to make sure that was that those owners felt like they were permanent hotel guests. That was a big part of what we were doing, and they spoke about our brand very well.
You also had the other partner, right, was Dubai World?
Yes.
They were in Mandarin as well, right? Or just all of City Center?
They were 50-50.
So you sort of had two people to deal with, two different groups to deal with as well, right?
That's right. So my Mandarin Oriental bosses in Hong Kong, if you were probably number 3 on my priority list. I had Dubai World, who I'm still close to this day with Bill Grounds.
He's a great guy.
Love Bill.
Played golf with him a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
We got to have him on your podcast too.
Well, I told him about it, and we talked about potentially, and he's more I don't know. Let's see. Maybe he will.
I'll talk him into it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I had him and his board, and then I had MGM, and that's how I got to know MGM. And when I would present out our results, everything from being the first hotel in Las Vegas to have Forbes 5 stars for all 3 areas: restaurant, Twist by Pierre Gagné, spa, and I feel like I'm on my Mandarin podcast, spa and the hotel. As well as the financials. I had Bill and Dubai World, but I also had Jim Murren, Bill Hornbuckle, Corey, Bobby Baldwin. I had the whole City Center team. So I had quite the board I was presenting out to.
Listen, at the end of the day, that's the best experience you can get. That's the best learning experience. And you were the guy running the joint. So you had to deal with all of those people and answer to all of them, which is maybe difficult, but amazing experience.
It was an amazing experience.
It probably set you up for everything else that came afterwards.
That's exactly right. That's how I got into MGM. Mandarin was going to move me to Florida to run 3 Mandarin hotels, and MGM said, "Hey, we're adjusting our model. We're centralizing some functions. Would you like to come be our hotel guy?" And they had known me from running Mandarin, and that was. And I said, "Ooh, what an opportunity!" And this could be my entrance into gaming, since I'd done hotels, food and beverage, all the other components of hospitality, just not the gaming piece. That became my next chapter.
So they moved you to Luxor, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I ran.
Is that right, Lisa? Is that next on your?
Yeah. Well, you tell him.
So I had this corporate role for Mandarin, or for MGM, which was great. At the time, Bellagio, Mandalay Bay, Aria, Mirage, they all operated for very good reasons, independently though. They didn't buy the same towels or even different towels, but from the same vendor. They hadn't exercised their purchasing power. So that's what I was brought in to do, was tie these hotel leaders together and get in, as Jim would say then, one company, one culture. Yeah. And we did that, and we went through that from a branding and from a people and a change management, but really where that was highlighted was the worst tragedy I've ever gone through in my career, or up there with 9/11. That was October 1st, 2017.
Yeah.
So, that's where you saw our company, one culture come together, in that you walked into Mandalay Bay that morning, you had front desk agents wearing Circus uniforms, Luxor, Mirage, Bellagio. Everybody was there helping for the obvious reasons, but that's what brought, that's what really, unified us.
You were there you were there during those days?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I was in the corporate role. So Mandalay Bay was one of our properties. Yeah. And I knew the hotel leader. We gathered all the hotel leaders from around town at the time. It was Paul Berry at Aria, Kim Samini at Mandalay, Franz Kaleo at Mirage, and everybody. We just got together. We got them all on a call, and we just tried to help Chuck and Kim.
It was before Zoom.
Wow.
It was before. It was the old-fashioned phone call. But that was that.
Wow, that must have been pretty difficult.
Yeah, that was. it was different than 9/11 because look, it was Mandalay Bay. It was one of our properties,
right.
And the responsibility and the what we felt towards our guests, our employees, everyone was just we had to work together to get through that time. That was the most challenging piece of my career.
I'm sure. Prior to the tragedy, you mentioned one company, one culture. I mean, I have 700 people here and one property, and even there it's difficult to do one company, one culture between restaurants and outlets. You're talking about 13 different casinos, 30,000 or however many people.
Yeah.
Is that really possible, one company, one culture at that scale?
It is, and I think, well, yes. The short answer is yes. And when I got to property, which we can talk about, it's a big challenge, but you have to do that through your leaders, and you have to. Right. That job for me was leading the leaders and communicating through people, and the goal was to touch every single person who was delivering a service experience, which is every employee. So MGM at the time had 80,000 employees. Nearly 30,000 were in, quote, the hotel division. Almost 40,000 when you throw in like the limos and call center and everything that was there. Anything that was non-gaming or non-F&B was the hotel arena. And it was an incredible experience. And I learned so much from that. But yes, I think it's possible, but it needs complete buy-in and dedication from everyone, right, start to finish.
And a huge team, I'm sure, dedicated just to that.
Yeah, yes. And at the time when we started, it was me and two other guys. We had just started up, but then you had to lean on the other leaders. And that's, in this town, as a vice president of hotel operations, these professionals could run hotel divisions for Hilton, for Marriott, for cruise lines. Yeah. They're so used to the volume and the quality. So I had incredible professionals around me. And again, that's another example of what's helped my success. It was having incredible people.
So we'll definitely have to get to Fontainebleau soon, but because that is what everyone wants to hear about. But I do have a question for you, if you can share any insight, and I know a lot of people wonder this. Do you think MGM will sort of just integrate Cosmo seamlessly, or will there be a difficulty? If you can't talk about it, or you have insight that you don't want to share.
No, I'm not related to any of them, so I can talk about it.
I mean, I've talked to some people who just think that it's going to lose its brand. It's just going to lose its identity. Now, that's just this person's opinion. That's not my opinion. But what would you think about that and how that's going to go?
Yeah, I think it's a valid concern. I mentioned I've had 4 bosses in town, if you will. I had Bill Macbeth, I went to Bobby Baldwin, I went to Corey Sanders, and then Bill Hornbuckle. And I spent a lot of time with Bill, and so I know him well, and I know he cares. I know why they bought the brand for Cosmopolitan, which is an incredible brand. Kudos to that team for everything they've created, even from the beginning, from John Unwin and the how it all started to what Bill Macbeth was able to do, and that entire team. They are incredible entrepreneurs, and so it's an attractive brand. I think the fear or the unknown is no matter what, it will change. It's got to be part of the MGM model, and they have a model. And you could say right, wrong, or indifferent about it, but they have a model that it will adjust to. So what happens there, I think remains to be seen. And I think similar conversations will happen with the Mirage and their transaction change. Yep. What's happening at Venetian and Palazzo with Apollo. And again, good, bad, indifferent, change is coming. And so with change, I think brings more change, but also more opportunity, which I think for the opportunity that I'm leading now with Fontainebleau is an incredible time.
Yeah, well, you just took the words out of my mouth. I think if Cosmo goes that way, it certainly leaves an open spot on the strip for somebody to come in and be that brand and be that identity. But I think what's interesting about Cosmo is it wasn't initially a success. I mean, it took time, right? It was challenged in its early days, and kudos to the team for turning it around, and most importantly, for having the patience to get there, because these things do take time to build and to turn around. But should they go and lose that identity that it has today and the brand that it has today, then it definitely vacates for somebody else to step into that role. Is that a good segue?
That's a great segue.
That was very impressive.
Yes, well done. Yes, we think that there is a space in the market. at both the luxury side with what Fontainebleau, our brand, because we're not starting from scratch. We have a brand in Miami that we can lean into.
Well, actually, you're not starting from scratch. I should say thank you to you. I don't know if you know
Yes.
this, but all of my furniture in this place, including the tile you're sitting on today, came from the Fontainebleau. This was the Fontainebleau's tile.
Wow,
I think it was definitely pre-you. But if I took you into a room or a hallway upstairs, not the newly redone ones, but the ones we remodeled in 2010, all Fontainebleau hallway, Fontainebleau wallpaper, Fontainebleau light sconces.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, we owe you guys a big thank you. It was a very fortuitous timing for us.
Yes, I think, first of all, it looks great in this property.
We're in Oscars now in the steakhouse,
Yeah.
but the floor, the marble, the tile in here is from there.
What's great about that is that's a true story. And I think what Fontainebleau is about the journey we've just embarked on last year it's an exciting one. It's an American business story. It is a Las Vegas business story. I mean, Jeff Sofer, the original developer, this many years later has it back and talk about, the phoenix rising from the ashes. Like the turnaround is incredible.
It should be a documentary.
It really should.
Like a business documentary, a story, emotional. It feels like it's almost a Hollywood script, the way he's now got it back and building it again.
It does.
I think there is a YouTube video about it, about the Fontainebleau and the way it sort of went down and then now is coming back.
Yeah. And because of that, because of what you just mentioned, there's so many eyes. There's the Las Vegas market and all of our peers and competitors and our supporters, but the nation knows this story. I mean, everybody who's come to Vegas, 42 million people, or 42 million people times 15 years, who've seen this building sitting in the desert and never has opened. And for a long time, a decade at least, has been a reminder of the financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. To come back and to really deliver that is a huge responsibility and one I take seriously. And I think for some people, until they're on the property, having a drink, putting money in a slot machine, playing cards, or checking into their hotel room,
they're not going to believe it.
They won't believe it. And I understand that. I'm okay with that. We have to turn non-believers into believers.
Yeah.
What are you working on right now? In anticipation of it opening?
Yes, great question, because now I've been on for about 90 days, and now it's literally everything from uniforms to our restaurants to our bar design. It's everything. But the most important thing for sure is the recruiting, is getting the right people in the right roles. We will stand out. Or at the very least, we will deliver on our brand promise by our people and our service. That is the number one thing. And I reiterate that to all of our stakeholders on a daily basis.
So you're building a company culture from the ground up. Are you pulling anything from Miami or Florida?
Yes. So because we have that property, iconic, been in James Bond movies, all kinds of things, people know it. And so to create kind of that magic, especially from the 50s and 60s, or when Mr. Sofer, when he reopened that, we're taking elements of that, but we have to do it in a Vegas way, similar to how Mandarin had to adjust.
Right.
And that was a global brand then. What we are doing in Vegas will influence Miami and the future of the Fontainebleau brand, because we're not stopping it at these two cities.
So were you asking, Lisa, more from a recruitment and culture standpoint? Because I'm curious, is that what you're asking?
I think both. I'd like to hear about both.
And I'm curious, sort of the Miami influence in terms of like the F&B, the nightlife. Is that all coming with it?
Parts of it are. We're working on that, on those pieces. We'll be excited to announce future things coming. But yes,
you're not doing an exclusive release on this podcast. Is what
that's right. That's exactly right. However, I'll make sure, Jonathan, you're the first to know, because you're my first interview in this role. But yes, there will be some elements that we do bring, as well as first to market elements. That Las Vegas hasn't seen, which I think are exciting. And again, I don't think a property probably since Cosmopolitan has had that much new into the market. From a recruiting standpoint, again, that's my number one thing. Like, we have to be the employer of choice. I know everyone says that. I think a good example of that is my friend Cindy Kaiser Murphy, what she's done, and she and her team at the Palms, with the Palms reopening last week. I felt the employee difference walking through that property.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I was about to ask, you've been there, you were impressed with it?
I was. A little bit different. turning things on. They had just had this significant renovation when that property was acquired by San Manuel. But I think they have done an excellent job with the culture. No surprise with Cindy there, but that's kind of our bar in the market now.
And where was Cindy before?
She was at New York.
Oh, okay. So you had worked together closely.
Very closely.
Okay.
Very close. But it goes to show that getting that focus on employees right, and it's more, yes, it's pay, it's benefits, it's how we create, but it's flexibility, it's future growth, it's how people feel when they come into work. We will have a relentless focus on our employees.
So you think that Fontainebleau, with the influence from Miami and obviously the training recruitment you're going to be doing, can stand out from essentially what's happened on the Strip to this point? I guess the question really is the Strip just become a one-trick pony? It's the same, more of the same, and can you make it different? Can you make it stand out? Obviously, on the employee side, you're saying for sure there, and I agree with you, that is the most important thing. But beyond that, is there a way to make something different on the Strip these days?
We think so, and we think so humbly, realizing all of the competition and the great, the great colleagues that we have in this town. We do think that there's an opportunity for the next chapter as Vegas continues to grow. We will be the next thing. And the goal with that is to bring consistency in what we're doing and also a long term. It isn't hey, we're going to sell this thing in 3 to 5 years. Like, we plan on being here for a long time. And we think with all of our product, the offerings, even just the physical space, which we can talk about as well.
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
We think it's going to be just very different than certainly the town has ever seen, watching this building come out of the desert. But all those levers, the physical, the service, the offerings, the programming, the excitement, I think combined, that's going to make us different.
Did you guys come up, was it under your sort of purview, the new logo and the look and feel of that?
I'd love to claim that. No, that's Jeff and his chief brand officer, Peter Arnell out of New York.
So maybe that's a good question. How hands-on is Jeff? And then I guess the other part, is it Coke, who's the main investors?
Yes, Coke.
Are they involved? Are they involved in anything that you have to do? Is it like with your previous life where you had to report to 4 different people, or is it a bit more streamlined?
We have multiple stakeholders, but really with Coke's relationship as investors, is more informational back out. Jeff's very hands-on, which I love, and then he's also he's given us the reign to hire and to do things the right way that we know how to do. So he's a great owner. He's very passionate. He is a president of his overall company, Brett Muvson, who I work with closely. And it's really the three of us and our team who are leading this opportunity here in Las Vegas. So I like having it small. It's not a giant board. It's not I need to make 100 slide decks to change things.
Yeah.
We can be very nimble.
That's a huge advantage,
which I think makes us different as on the Strip right now.
That's a huge advantage for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us about the physical space.
Yeah, I'm very excited. First of all, you can see the building.
Before you say that, because I just need to get my head around this. When are we seeing this place? When are we opening?
We are opening. We're currently Q4 2023.
Okay, I just need to hear that now. Because now I can imagine sort of the timeline backwards from there.
Yeah, we're talking 18 months now that we're at May 1. There's 17 months and change. So I wake up going, this thing's opening tomorrow. Wow. Where's my team? Where's my safety net? And we go from there.
So go on.
So the physical. So we're the second tallest building in the state. I like to tell my kids at school that only the stratosphere is taller than we are. And so when you're at the top of our building, you're looking literally all over all of Southern Nevada. So I think that's a nice little fun fact. It's 9.5 million square feet. It's gigantic, but what I love about it is that it's vertical. I was giving a tour today, and I have to have you down. You have to come down for a hard hat tour, please. But when you stand where our center bar will be, I can see the south entry, and I can see the north entry, and we're only on 26 acres. For comparison, Wynn's on 200 plus acres. My last property as president of Luxor is 100 plus. It just feels not tight and compressed, but it just feels almost boutique, if I can use that word, for a 9.5 million square feet hotel and casino.
4,000 rooms?
Exactly.
Very boutique.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go back to Gramercy Park, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, well, 3,700 guest rooms. That's 700 less than my last hotel. Very boutique. But you feel like you, as an operator, that you can really get your arms around what's happening here. So it's all vertical. Well thought out. I mean, the original plans, you got to think, those were drawn 20 years ago. Construction started in 2006. The building topped out in 2009. It was 70% complete when it stopped. So we have a lot to work with, but it's really laid out well on this 26-acre footprint. Whereas a guest, you're not walking 2 miles to get to your convention in the morning. You are walking a very civilized amount of space from your elevators. It's just really, really well thought out. So 3,700 rooms, 63 floors, 27 bars, restaurants, lounges combined, 16 restaurants, 10 bars and lounges and a food piazza, day club, nightclub, all that fun stuff is coming.
You have operators?
We do.
To be determined.
To be
confirmed.
To be announced.
To be announced. Yes.
Okay. TVA. I said the other ones. Yeah.
And yeah, a casino floor that is roughly the size of Aria's. It's because people will ask all the time.
It's on multiple levels, the casino floor?
The casino's on the main floor, but we do have programming on multiple floors for food and beverage, for retail. It's just going to be a really unique space that, again, I don't think it just doesn't exist in the market today.
And have you built a team around you? Have you got your guys in place that you're looking for?
We do. I have a little more than half right now. Where that is my number one job. Literally, I had 3 back-to-back dinners, if you will. All I'm doing is eating and drinking in the evenings.
Why haven't you been doing them in Oscars?
Yeah, I will.
Actually, I remember you came to the dinner series here. One of the dinner series.
I was talking to Amy about that on the way in, about what a great experience it is here. The dinner with Oscar on its own is just incredible, but the food. I brought my father-in-law. We were blown away.
Yes.
With the food and the service. But you sit in this classic room. This also has been in movies. I remember it from Casino. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting in this room having a great steak, listening to Oscar Goodman.
What could be better?
What could be better? Everyone needs to be on everybody's list.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate that. But so you've been having dinners, you've been recruiting your team.
Yeah, and so I'm about halfway done.
Okay.
And we will have, I'm looking at Amy now, we'll have some executive announcements because that's part of our story too. But I have about half the team.
No wonder you brought Amy here. There's a lot to be revealed.
There's a lot to be revealed. That's right. Without Amy here, I'd be telling all kinds of things. Yeah. Where we're putting our cash, everything. No, but I'm really excited, and I think it's the it's that journey. It's the luxury with Mandarin Oriental, the lifestyle with Ian Schrager, the gaming that I spent a decade in the MGM world here in town. And I remember when I was being transferred to Miami, Mandarin Oriental, the team there, they're beautiful people. I love them. They gave me a going away party because I didn't know I was going to get the MGM job. And so I'm literally saying goodbye, and they all know I'm a native San Franciscan, 49ers fan, Giants fan, Warriors, all that. And I said, I left my heart, my heart is in San Francisco, and I said, my home is here in Las Vegas. Right. I did not want to leave. And that resonated with people, and I really meant it. And that's why this opportunity and being patient and to get it and to be the person selected for that, I wake up every day and I go to bed every night with that. It's a responsibility, not one that's overwhelming, but one that motivates me and gets me going every day.
That's all you can ask for.
That's it.
That's all you can ask for. Did you? I guess the most similar comparison, and this is in no way to say they're similar, but as a comparison, I just said that, is Resorts World. Have you had an opportunity to learn from that, to say this is great, this is not so great, we can improve on this? Because that is sort of a standalone, not as far north, but north end, ground up development, right? I mean, that's the similarity, I guess.
That's right. And Scott, I've known since I've been in town. Huge amount of respect for him and what they've done. Resorts World is different than we are, which I think is a great opportunity for us to complement each other rather than this head-to-head compete. And I think complement and bring all of the energy from, call it the current 50-yard line of the strip, where Bellagio and Cosmo may be, and shift it a bit north. There's new things. And I think watching what happened at Resorts World, talking to them. Scott again has been very, hey, here were the learnings. They've been very, generous with their time and advice, but I think we're going to complement each other very, very well, and we're very different. And I think part of that difference is, look, we are one very strong brand. It's Fontainebleau. Right. Everything. We have our suite product and we have our room product, but it is one brand, which I think resonates with the consumer that we're going after.
You've gone away from sort of the French origin of it, right? Fontainebleau versus just the Fontainebleau.
That's the American and the Las Vegas in me. So yes.
Well, it's probably better for the sake of the mass market here that it sticks to its American name.
That's right. But for those who know our brand, they'll come in at Fontainebleau, my French friends say it much better than I do. But when I'm asked how do you say it, for the general market, it's Fontainebleau, which I think it resonates with everyone. They're like, oh, okay, I get it. I know how to say it.
And is the logo, the FB on the building, is that staying? That's not temporary. That's the permanent FB.
Correct. That physical logo may actually evolve a little bit more, but that is the brand that's on the building.
It won't say Fontainebleau. It'll be FB. That's how you're going to become known.
Correct. But there will be the word Fontainebleau on the exterior of the building, just not where the FB is so pronounced today.
Rich, you have a question? You're writing notes vociferously there.
I'm just thinking about the future of the Strip. As you say, things move north and north, and we've had a lot of talk about the Oakland A's becoming the Vegas A's and where that ballpark may go. And one of the spots mentioned was the footprint of the Luxor and the Excalibur. Do you think both of those properties are going to see the end in our lifetime?
in our lifetime, probably.
Yeah,
But I actually, and this is just, I don't know. If I knew, I probably wouldn't say. But my guess is, I do think the piece of property across the street where the Trop currently sits is very, very attractive to several parties.
Yeah.
The cash flow that Excalibur and again, I'm speculating, but Excalibur and Luxor, what they throw off, I don't see MGM getting rid of that today. But look, this town has surprised me before in other ways. But if I had to bet today, and I am a betting man, which is why I love the business, I think that Trop location has
guy
has
after
legs.
my heart.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we're all here.
I learned that from Bobby. Like you better love the business if you're going to be doing this.
Exactly right. And when you have your customers coming in, you can talk to them about sports and all things that you bet on too.
That's exactly right.
Rich brings up the south end. I'm more interested in the north end. So what we've learned is that by being together downtown, we're better off, right? By being a community. And that we do better when the Golden Nugget does better, when the Circa does better, when the Boyd properties do better. It's better for the plaza. And we've all come to that realization that as a community, we have to come together to make the area better for all of us to succeed. And we've only grown as a result of Circa. Many people thought, well, that's going to hurt you guys, but it doesn't hurt. It's only incremental to the area. Right. How is that on the north end of the Strip? Have you been supported by the Stratosphere guys are good guys. If you've had a chance to meet with them, you got SLS down there. Isn't it really on you guys to try to come together to make that area better?
That's right, and that's another responsibility. In fact, all of those leaders I either know, like Scott at Resorts World, who's been so generous, Cammie at Westgate, which is right next door, the team at Sahara. There's just a piece of dirt separating us and Sahara, and I think they've done an incredible job with their property and their investment, and the Strats just below that. So on this tour today, I'm looking north. So it's those properties I just mentioned, the Sahara, the Strat. Sahara has a campaign about the Strip starts here. And so I thought that was interesting. And I think when we open, we'll connect that whole region. We are better together, I think.
Has to be.
Has to be. Yeah. And we mentioned today, I think eventually it's going to connect us literally all the way down here. That natural opportunity is sitting there. And that I do think we'll see in our lifetime. What they've been waiting for is our big building to open to kind of change that immediate neighborhood. But look at today. I think it was last Sunday's Review Journal. That Travel Lodge that sits right across the street from us is listed for $52 million right now. Right. So that's the Travel Lodge and a small footprint from a real estate standpoint. So I think those opportunities will come. But yes, MSG as well. I toured the Sphere yesterday. It was incredible. That being down on, just east of Sands, all that activity north is going to unify us together.
Yep.
And we have a similar approach, better together. Bringing the neighborhood together is, I think, one of our key critical success factors. And I do think we really are going to naturally bring the Strip down, and I think one day connect with you fine folks.
Speaking of that, have you had the opportunity to go to the Arts District and see what's happening there? I mean, imagine 5 years ago that people could walk from the Stratosphere, what used to be called Naked City and the worst area in town. Now you walk straight down Main Street to basically, I think, one of the coolest areas in the whole city.
Yes.
I mean, the bars,
so
the restaurants. We own a comedy club there called Wise Guys.
I didn't know that.
We don't own Wise Guys. We own the building. They're our tenant.
Yeah.
But the area is just unbelievable. I mean,
and even driving here today, it reinforced. I think that, especially that area where the breweries are and all that. There's so much there that I think the next 5 to 10 years will really develop, and I think tie it all together. I think naturally it has to. So I'm excited about the future, and I think the future is north.
Well, it definitely is north. I hope it's further north than even you.
That's right.
But do you have thoughts on downtown? Do you ever come down here? Besides the dinner series, do you ever spend time down here?
I do. I'm a huge fan. I've only met Derek Stevens once, but I'm a huge fan of his. I think what they've done here is great. And when I have visitors coming from out of town who want to see something a little bit different, it's like, we have to go downtown.
Yeah.
Love the steakhouse here. Again, that Oscar series is phenomenal. Huge fan of Barry's and their team. I think those are good reasons to come and then experience. And then with what you're doing here, my local friends, we all want to check out the Sand Dollar and what you're doing here. Like
of course.
That's a reason to come. And then when you bring your out-of-towners, they have no idea that exists in town. And when they see that and experience it, those are the new moments of what maybe years ago standing in front of the fountains at Bellagio, which are iconic for sure, but having a drink at 2 a.m. in the Sand Dollar is its own memory.
It's own sort of iconic.
For sure.
And if you remember it.
And I think those are great reasons to come down this way.
Yep. Well, we agree with you.
You mentioned that you think the future of Vegas will bring downtown and the Strip closer together.
Yes.
But do you have any other ideas of what you think Vegas will look like in the next 10, 20 years?
I do. I think one thing from a residential standpoint, having lived here over the last 10 years, every Californian that comes out to visit me, being, again, a native San Franciscan, you come out here and you look at our weather, our taxes, and as crazy as our housing is, it's all gone up in accordance with the rest of the country, maybe a little bit more, but it is still an incredible opportunity to live here. I think more and more people will figure that out. So I think you're going to have, hopefully, we've been talking about it, I think, before I got to town, but the diversification of some of the industries that are here. We are hospitality and gaming and meeting at our core, but I think that there are industries who are really attracted to that, so I think you're going to have more of that. I truly do. I think what's happened in sports is an incredible story. I think more will come. I do think the A's are coming, and with all respect to the mayor of Oakland, if I were the A's, I would definitely want to be in a town that is gorgeous, that is clean, has a new facility, and welcomes us with open arms, which we do here in Las Vegas, humbly.
It is an amazing thing, though. It's like, what a city in that we do one thing well, and then suddenly everyone does like multiple versions of that. It's like we had a good ice hockey team. Now we have everything coming here. I mean,
it's true. Lacrosse is coming now.
Lacrosse. We have soccer, and even like, I guess the 2008 recession hurt some of this, but the high-rise boom. I mean, we had one high-rise, and all of a sudden we had like 20 planned.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So everything that we do en masse.
That's it. We can't help ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that is what's exciting. Is I think more people will actually live and work here in the future. And again, with people working from home or the ability to work anywhere in certain industries, living here with all this world-class entertainment, food and beverage, all the excitement. I mean, you can dine out any of our restaurants compared to New York, Dubai, London, Tokyo, San Francisco, and in some cases better than. So why not live, work here, and be here and be part of the community? I think that will continue to evolve.
I guess the one thing that I stand corrected on that we do miss is it would have been nice if more people had done what Zappos did when Tony Hsieh made the jump to come over to Vegas. If more tech companies had made that move back then, because we do lack that. And that would have been nice if more, but maybe it's coming.
I agree. I think Tony's vision, I got to know him during the Mandarin Oriental days. Spent a little bit of time with him. His head of all of his construction I worked with when I got to town. And so I got to meet Tony. Visionary, tragic story. Yeah. But what he was attempting to do, I do think more companies will see that and see, maybe not on that scale what Zappos did, but would be able to bring their brands here, and they need the talent, and I think the talent will also follow. So between Switch, Zappos, these other tech companies, what Amazon is doing here from a fulfillment standpoint, I do think there is some more diversification to come.
And then for our last question, what career advice would you give to somebody who's just getting started?
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite questions. and I think it's two things. It's one, you don't have to have your answers, but figure out what you love doing. Guess what? I love to eat, drink, and gamble. That is why I'm in the hotel, restaurant, and gaming business. That is full stop. That is when I'm on my property, and I'll go back home for my kids' games, I come back at night. It's because I love the business. So 7 days a week, 6 days a week, that doesn't bother me because I love what I do. Followed up by that, to get to that point, start at the bottom. Take any job. I know the employment landscape has changed. When I started, I had to do an 800-hour unpaid internship, which are now illegal, but it was unpaid, so I had to have another job, and I was delivering flowers for a mortuary, which is a whole other story on that, while I was going to school. But now I think
you that was your internship, delivering flowers for a mortuary?
No, that was my paid job.
I'm joking. Yeah. That was your internship.
In some ways, it was. But I think for somebody, once you figure out what you do, it's do whatever you can to get in. If you love PR, go intern with Amy then over the summer. If you love this business.
Are you accepting applications? Okay,
you like that? Good. But when you figure out what it is, just get in and be guided. I've had incredible mentors. I mentioned some on the show. With Bill, with Bobby, with Corey, with Bill Hornbuckle. Like, I had incredible mentors, and I knew what I wanted to do, but I also allowed myself to be guided while I figured it out. And now, at my age and my role, it's 100% my responsibility to give back. And so to people coming up through the ranks right now, get involved at UNLV, become a mentor, or whatever industry that you're in. But don't be afraid to start at the bottom. Work hard, and hard work does get rewarded. It still does, even with people changing jobs, and that's okay. But figure out what you love, and you'll be okay.
It's great advice. I don't think people take that on board anymore. I just don't think people realize what starting at the bottom means, and putting in a hard day's work, or taking an unpaid internship, which you can't do anymore. But those are the things that used to get you into a good position, and nowadays that's right. It's just different.
It is. It's as I recruit and I tell those stories, you're working those tough shifts on the overnight, and you learn and earn and grow up. I still think that's really important, because as I sit to tell investors why we're going to spend X amount of dollars on something, knowing every job, from cleaning a room to checking somebody in to running sales and marketing to selling overseas, you have to know how all those components work to make your business successful, I feel.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on the corner of Main Street today. If people want to stay up to date with you on social media, where can they find you?
Oh, that's a great question. Where can they find us?
You don't have your own personal stuff?
I do. Yeah, you can, I don't even know what my personal stuff is. I'm not a big social media guy.
All right.
I will get you my Instagram and my Facebook.
You need a Twitter so that people can write you direct, being like, "Hey, man, I'm coming to Fontainebleau.
Exactly.
Set me up with a reservation."
The only person I follow on Twitter is actually is Vital Vegas.
Oh my
Scott.
God! Don't say that. He'll get such an inflated ego. Yeah. Oh God, he's going to listen to this and be like, yeah.
I hope so. I got his name in there too. Good. Yeah. But I'm not on Twitter, actually. And so I'm looking at Amy. I should be. My new chapter with Fontainebleau, yes. I'll be on social media.
Love it. Yeah. Well, thank you. We're excited to see all the good things to come.
Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to the tour.
Looking forward to it.
We'll be back again soon. But in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street. And of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's @PlazaPod. And on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan @JonathanJossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.
Hey, it's Rich Johnson, the producer of On the Corner of Main Street. If you love this and you want more Vegas, please take a listen to Food and Loathing. Every week, veteran food writer Al Mancini and I, and some co-hosts, dive into the Vegas food scene, one of the best, most diverse, and comprehensive culinary communities in the world. And we invite the chefs, owners, journalists, and foodies who make it so to join us. That's Food and Loathing. Available, well, the same way you found this podcast.